Folks, Sandamtod here, back again, here to do a bit of a video. I had an idea today, kicking around, and I'm going to title this one, There Can Be Only 5. And that's a little homage to a Highlander, by the way. But, there can be only 5. Yeah, I figured, I would do this maybe for a few different consoles. I don't know how many. But I have quite a few, so I figured we'd give it a roll. God damn, I should have thought about what I was going to say before we started this. Give it a shot and see what you all think. And if any of you yahoos do videos anymore, and you want to do a video response, pick your console, you know, whatever one you want to pick for this, but if not, leave comments or whatever. But anyway, here's what the idea is. I had the idea that if someone, a high decree comes down and you can only keep 5 games for a console, I was going to say your favorite console, so I'm starting with one of my nostalgic favorites, the NES. If you can only keep 5 games and they were going to come in and take all your other games away, and all you have are those 5 from here to eternity with that system, what 5 do you keep? You know, what 5 are going to be those games that you'll not regret picking something else later on? And I've thought about this for a while, because there's so many games that I love on the NES, but the fact of the matter is, there's some of them that are frustrating, there's some of them that are extremely difficult, and no matter how much I love them, at the same time, I don't want to keep those games in my collection forever. I want 5 games that I can sit down, play through in a couple of hours, you know, maybe 2 hours or so, and enjoy them, and not, I've never tired of these titles. And so I mainly went for enjoyment, longevity, beatability. There are a lot of games that I love that are super hard that I've never beaten, like the Ninja Gaiden series. I haven't beaten this. I don't think I ever beat the second one, and I know I didn't beat the third one. And I only beat the first one the one time that I've told this story countless times about beating it, and then being so happy that I beat it, I jumped up out of my chair and started, like, literally kind of jumping up and down, like, yes, yes! And the damn game, boom, popped up out of the system, and I never saw the end. And I still haven't went on YouTube. I guarantee you somebody has put the end to that game on YouTube, and all I got to do is look for it, but I've never seen the end of the game. And so, but then there's games like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, which I love most of the game, but I cannot beat Mike Tyson. I never have been able to. I guess if you kept it and over time you would get good enough, but that game doesn't have enough stability or longevity for me. I mean, I would get bored of it, I think. So, I picked 5 games. Most of them, I would say, are action-adventure, platforming, and such. So, these aren't in any particular order, and you can do yours in order if you want, in the comments or a video. I doubt anybody does videos, but I'm throwing it out there. If you want to do a video, please, just for the hell of it, and get some interaction going. But so anyway, I figured I'd start with the one I only have a cartridge for, and the reason why is to get a complete box copy of this game anymore has gotten kind of pricey, and I just have never wanted to pony up for it. There are a few like that I really want that I haven't wanted to pay. I've got the loose cart, but I want the boxed complete copy, and I just don't want to pay what they want for it. One of those being Metal Gear, and the one I'm getting ready to show for sure, and maybe the one that was its predecessor. But that even is way out of reach at the moment. So it makes you understand why people go with repro boxes and stuff. They just want to have the boxes on their shelves, and they like it, and they know they're repros, and it's no big deal. I have said, I bought a couple of repro boxes for those different systems, and I've showed the color variations and the font variations and stuff, and they're just not good enough for me. I'd rather have the original box, even if it's almost beat to shit, than have a repro. So, okay, we're going to start with this. This game, the first time I ever saw it, I walked into the living room of my high school buddy Kevin's house, and he was playing it, and he was at the end, and we've discussed this before. He got laid up that summer. I was between 8th and 9th grade. He got hit on his bicycle, on a bicycle. I think I told the story that he borrowed it from the guy up the street and all that. But he was laid up for the summer, and I had been up at Toys R Us for some reason and saw this game had come out, and I mentioned it to him that it was up there at Toys R Us, and his mom went up there, I think, and got it for him. And when I came over, because he had bought it, he didn't rent it or anything. But when I came over there, he was on the couch playing it, and that would be the game Mega Man 2. Mega Man 2 is a definite upgrade to Mega Man 1, as far as there being, there were 8 enemies as opposed to 6, but then you had to fight, these big bosses leading up to the end, and fight all of them again, then fight Wily in 2 forms, and it really expanded on that first game, and I love the first game so much, but it's a little bit harder, and it didn't have the password system, and I just have more nostalgia for the second one. Actually, the first one, pardon me, the first one, the first time I ever saw it was at Kevin's house. He had rented it, and I went over there, rode my bike over there, and he was playing it, but he had rented it, I think, from either Movies at Home or Applause Video or one of those places. One of those long gone video stores. I don't know if I'm holding shit too close either. I'll try to not hold stuff so close. I actually got smart and propped up a mirror behind it this time so I can kind of see myself. So I kind of can see my framing and stuff a little better. But this game, I would love to have a complete copy, or at least a box. And this one's actually got some initials scratched in the back of it. It looks like a DM. So I don't know who DM was, but they scratched their initials in the back of this cartridge. But this is the only copy of this that I have. I actually looked through, and that's because it's also pricey, and I've never really ran across another copy of it that was reasonable enough for me to want to pick it up. And this one, the label's actually a little bit, well, actually the label's not too bad. And I don't know, it's just one of those, it's a little out of my reach right now as far as wanting to pick it up for the collection back yonder. But I would like to have it. And I will someday, I hope. I would like to have Mega Man 2. I don't really, like I said, the first one would also be okay. I think also Mega Man 3, I think we rented it and played it at Kevin's house as well, and I just wasn't as into Mega Man 3. I felt like they were kind of trying to, even at that point, were trying to kind of come up with new robot characters that I didn't really care for, and it was like you had to fight all the guys from 3 and 2 and 1. I don't really remember, but it reached a point where it was like, okay, this is basically just it just repeated Mega Man 2, but added more guys, and I think he in the third one, is that where he got to where he could slide under stuff? I know in the second game he had those 3 different things he could use: the spring that he could jump off of, or the little floating platforms, or the little like hoverboard thing. And I like that. And yeah, the slide is convenient, but I just, after the third game and I played it and I really wasn't that into it, I never even really played the other 4, 5, and 6. I've never really played them. And I do own that Mega Man collection on the PS2, Mega Man Anniversary Collection. It looks like it's got 10 Mega Man games on one disc. I don't know what. It's got Mega Man 1 through 8 and 2 never before released in the US arcade games. So probably fighting style arcade games. But Mega Man 1 through 8 are on this. And you're like, well, why don't you keep this? Well, we're not doing the PlayStation 2. We're doing the... And originally I was going to do a huge video with all my consoles and explain why I picked certain games for certain systems. Because certain ones that I leave off of other systems, I could have kept a certain disc or something like this and gotten it there. But since we're just doing the Nintendo, and I don't know, if I revisit this, it'll probably be for the older consoles, the Genesis, the Sega CD, maybe the PlayStation, Super Nintendo, maybe. We just did a Nintendo 64 video, but I don't know. So, okay, second game, no particular order, like I said. This is one of the very first games, and I talked this game up. It's one of the few 8-bit games I've ever posted full game run-throughs on my channel. I posted one a long time ago that was about an hour run, and I did do a restart in it a few minutes in, so it was a little short of an hour. I'm not a speed runner, but I did want to see... I just wanted to play through it, and then when I finished it in under an hour, later on I went back and some loud motorcycles riding, but went back and tried to see how fast I could beat it, and I think I got down to where I could do it in about 40 minutes, 40-something minutes. I posted that as well, but I don't think I'll ever try to get anywhere close to the record, because I think the record's like 20 minutes or something. But that game is the game my cousin introduced me to. Actually, 2 of these are games my cousin introduced me to with his console. But this is one of the original 5 he brought down. And I love this game. Tecmo Rygar. They took a arcade style, just side-scrolling, just beat enemies, get to the end, go to the next level, side-scroll, and made it a total adventure game. There's like your 3D overhead map, there's your side maps, there's like 4 or 5 different bosses, and there's the big castle and the final boss. There's different items to collect, and it's just such an awesome a game in my eyes. And this game, like I said, I can beat it in about an hour or so, but I enjoy it every single time I play it. Yeah, it's definitely worth keeping for me. Same thing with Mega Man 2. I can play it for an hour or two and beat it, and I enjoy it every time I play through it. And so this is my boxed copy. I'm not going to take it out, but it does have the directions and stuff in it. Actually, this one still got the punch tab in it. It didn't get punched out, which is good and nice. And then I also have a loose card of this. Back when I was collecting Nintendo games like crazy, when they were just overflowing out of vintage stock for a reasonable price, I decided I was going to collect the no-clip games, and this one was one of the no-clips that I picked up, and that's the Rygar no-clip or 5-screw version. I like to call it the no-clipper. And so I do have a copy of that. I don't know if I'm gonna... How long I've been? 14 minutes. I was gonna try to get this in under one filming, so we need to speed this along. Okay, the next game, I remember renting this, and it was a game that I just love. Unlimited Continues. I always thought it was kind of crazy that it had a score, because I really never cared about the score at all. But there were tons of different items you could pick up along the way. It is kind of reminiscent of Ghosts and Goblins. and that would be the game Wizards and Warriors. The first one is just such an awesome title, and I actually have a second box copy of this, so I have 2 complete copies. I think at one time I had a 3rd copy, and I think I traded it when I traded some stuff off on here for something else that I wanted, because I had a third copy. And so Wizards and Warriors, like I said, I remember renting it, playing it, getting the boots of force and kicking the chests open and finding the staff or the cloak or, you know, the feather of flotation and, you know, that stuff, and getting to the end and beating the wizard. And it's just, it's a fun game. It's not super hard. I enjoy it, and I can play through it 100 times and then 100 more. So number four, this is a game, the very first time I ever saw it was also, most of these Nintendo games are going to come back to being around Kevin. It's one of the very first time I actually saw the game. I went over to his house to help him hook up his Nintendo when he bought it from a kid at school, and there was one of the games that the kid gave him. And the first time we didn't know what in the hell we were doing, but we stuck it in and started wandering around. Immediately died like 8 or 9 times, and then I remember going home, and I remember asking him the next day, you know, if he figured some stuff out, and he figured out that there was a sword and some other stuff, but. And then once you got that, then it started to move along from there. But you can probably guess what game I'm speaking of. And that would be the game, The Legend of Zelda. Zelda! You remember that commercial? With the guy kind of creeping around and shit, doing the weird... And I remember the Zelda rap. Those 2 kids doing the Zelda rap. But this is the original box version. It's complete. It has a nice instruction book in it. The only thing about this one is one of the little fold-in tabs at the top is broke, like ripped off. Well, not really ripped off, but it's almost like it was worked in and out so much that it just eventually wore down to where it came off. But either that or I took an X-Acto blade, because I mean it's just right along there. Maybe there was a little ratty piece left, and I just trimmed it off flush, but. Legend of Zelda, like I said, the very first time I saw this was at Kevin's. The 2 quests, the amount of weapons, the how epic the game was when we first played it, and it still holds some of that for me today. Even though I could probably play through it about 2 or 3 hours if I sat down and played it. At least the first quest. I don't really remember the second quest, everything that well, but I remember the first quest anyway. But, and then you may also know that I picked up a second copy of this, I think out at one of the Belton stocks, vintage stocks on the, not the Belton one, the Kansas side though. I picked up this one, and that's the classic series. Actually, I think I picked this one up out at that vintage stock out there in the Kansas side, the original one, because I think this one was actually the one I bought first. And it's the classic series, which is the gray cart with the yellow or gold label on it. It looks like we've got 12 minutes and we've only got one other more game left, so I might be able to pull this out of here. I'm really trying to finish this in under 30, but we'll see. Like y'all haven't seen it anyway, but the gold label and the gray cart, and it has like an updated warning on the back and stuff. Sorry, probably got a shine on, you can't see shit anyway, like you want to read it. But yeah, and then this, and then I have a loose cart copy, no clipper, because like I said, I was collecting those for a while. This one was a little harder to find, I thought, and then I ran into like 3 or 4 of them at the vintage stock out in Blue Springs in one night one time. But that one doesn't have any of the, like, the gold flaking off to where, you know, you can see, I think the cartridge was like black underneath the plastic. But this one doesn't have any flaking or anything on it, which is nice. And I'm not going to worry about putting this back in the box, but And the fifth and final game, you could probably guess, but maybe not. The fifth game is the Space Odyssey Nintendo franchise title, Metroid. Metroid, my cousin, like I said, I played it. He brought his console down, and then he had to go back up because he was in 4-H and worked on their family farm, and he had to go back up for, I think, the 4-H fair and stuff. And so he left his console with me for like 2 or 3 weeks, and he left a bunch of games. Like, a bunch to me was like 8 or 10, and Metroid was one of them. And when he came back, he had Double Dragon and Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! I remember he had 2 brand new games when he came back. But this is my gray box version. I was so excited when I bought this. I think I got it for a pretty good deal from what I remember. It is complete. And then later on, I really wanted this one, and I picked it up. I think I looked it up recently on some of my videos and saw that I paid $30 for it, plus some tax. And the guy said it was in like new condition, and it was not. I'd say maybe good or very good condition, but not like new. And that would be the classics version in the yellow box. And I saw recently Business 17 picked up a bunch of boxed NES games, and he did get a Metroid. He got Gargoyle's Quest 2. I won't spoil it for you because he's got a bunch of games that he picked up. I was kind of surprised with the lot that he got that were complete or at least boxed. And he said he thought he might have overpaid for Metroid, but the rest of them, he was pretty satisfied with what he got, for the price. So, congrats, buddy. Even if you sell them off or whatever, I don't know what you need for your own personal collection offhand, but and then also we got a no clipper, and I think this one actually, now I stuck my original one that's got the kid's initials scratched in it, I think, in there. The no clipper might have came in the box, because I don't only have this copy of Metroid, and then I have a copy in here. So, and the one that I had that I bought from the kid up the street had an initial scratch in the back of it. So, anyway, those are my. There can be only 5. There can be only 5 games for this console, and they're taking everything else. Like I said, there's a bunch of role-playing games, Final Fantasy, Ultimate Exodus, Dragon Warrior 1 and 2, and 4. I never really played 3, Dragon Warrior 3, if you can believe it, but I beat 1, 2, and 4. Ultimate Exodus, Quest the Avatar. I loved Magic of Shahrazad. Like I said, Metal Gear, Contra. You're like, Contra could have went in this group, actually. I mean, really, everybody loves Contra. But, these are adventure games. These are more single player. Contra was always more fun with 2 buddies, slugging it out, using the 30-man code, and just having a ball. So, anyway, I'm going to sign off because I don't know if this thing ends at 25 minutes or 30 minutes, and we're right there. So, if you're going to do a video, I will watch it and comment. If not, just leave your 5 for your favorite console down below, and I'll be happy to read them and comment back to you. I may do this for some other consoles. There are some that I don't really, there's so many games and stuff, I just don't think I'm going to do them. Like the PS3. I kind of want to only go up to a certain level, like the PS1 kind of Dreamcast era. Maybe the 3DO. I mean, that kind of era right there. I don't really want to go any more beyond that. I don't want to go to the PS2, Xbox, and on up era. So, that's me personally. Do whatever you want. So, anyway, folks, thanks for coming by. Thanks for all your comments and support that you give me on here. Like I said, if you didn't watch them, I wouldn't do them. But hey, if you don't dig it, I understand. My style is kind of rough. So, anyway, I think I did a better job with this video. I'm going to sign off. Thanks for coming by, and we'll see you in the next video. I'll try not to blah, 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 the whole thing. So, okay, bye.